Welcome back to the just__ channel. How you doing? How you doing? And today I'm doing a little bit of a different video. I was thinking of making a build video with a crowbar, but I figured after playing for a month of Hive Scum, I realized that there are some things that this class needs to have ironed out. Although Fat Shark made a phenomenal class that has the glass cannon identity, I love it. It's my favorite class in the game right now, but there are a few things that I think need to be changed a little bit to make this class perfect in my eyes. Some of you might agree, some of you might disagree, but you know, all of us are entitled to our own opinion, so there's that. And like, you know what? Hell, maybe Fat Shark sees us implement some of these things. I think these changes will make the class better. I mean, overall, these aspects are problematic, and if you have your own ideas and suggestions, please make sure to leave it down in the comments. Like, I love talking to people and discussing general balancing and ideas, so yeah, feel free. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is Rampage. By itself, the ability is great. You have 50% melee power and 20% melee attack speed, as well as 25% damage reduction and stun and suppression immunity for 10 seconds, which you can extend by 0.3 seconds with melee attacks, but after 20 seconds the return is diminished. The main problem I have with this ability is the downside. So upon exiting Rampage, you lose all of your stamina, become exhausted for 7 seconds, you gain 25% extra damage taken, and your stamina regeneration is slowed by 75%, which you'd think, yeah, it makes sense. A strong ability has a drawback. Well, it's completely countered by a passive node. Forge's Bellow. When you use the ability and when it ends, you emit a loud shout that staggers all surrounding enemies, as well as making them attack 50% slower for 5 seconds. This passive completely negates the downside, so then in turn you have to ask yourself, what's the point of the downside at all? Like, even without Forge's Bellow, you hardly find yourself in situations where this drawback does anything to you. You can throw a grenade, you can do something else. Basically, for those 7 seconds, you're not really affected anyways, so why have it? If you look at any other class, they don't have a remotely similar downside to their ability like Hive Scum does. Like, even Hive Scum has a different ability that is basically the same, Desperado, but for ranged. For 10 seconds, you get range damage immunity, infinite ammo from reserves, and 20% movement speed increase for 10 seconds. And if you kill a marked enemy, you extend the duration by 1 second, which diminishes also after 20 seconds. And guess what? It has no downside. And you can also increase its damage and rending with a passive node, which makes it even more stronger, and still no downside. So what's the point of the 7 seconds of exhaustion if it doesn't really do anything? It's basically only there for the aesthetics and completely out of place. I would just take it away and just like maybe nerf the numbers a little bit on Rampage if you're worried about it being too strong, but I'd argue Desperado is just overall the best pick for DPS. Or maybe not the best for DPS, Rampage is still really good, it's just the downside makes it a little bit weird. So my other problem that I have with the class is the interaction between stim supply and chem dependency. So although they fixed the interaction between those two with having stim supply give you stacks of chem dependency if it had a stim in it, I still think that chem dependency's main effect of cooldown reduction is ultimately pointless on stim supply because the box by itself doesn't really do much. Corruption healing and corruption immunity is great and all, but just placing the box down does not give you chem dependency stacks, and just corruption healing, I don't think it's enough, and needing to spec into booby trap to make the box do even remotely anything close in higher difficulties and havocs, I think that's a problem. Main point is cooldown reduction on stim supply is pretty pointless because you don't want to spam it if you don't have a stim, and stim's cooldown depends on sample collector and how many nodes you invested into the stim lab. So again, the KDR on stim supply is just pointless. Like, make stim supply do something else other than corruption healing and corruption immunity, like toughness regeneration or damage reduction for a short duration. Nothing crazy, but something to make it worthwhile to drop even if it's off cooldown while you don't have a stim, because otherwise the box is completely pointless in my opinion. I think this needs to be changed so the keystone and the action skill actually made sense together. So the other problem I have with the class is Vulture's Mark. So on paper, the keystone is pretty good. Killing a special or an elite with a ranged weapon gives you a stack of Vulture's Mark for 8 seconds, which stacks up to 3 times. Each stack grants you 5% range damage, 5% range critical strike chance, and 5% movement speed. If you're at max stacks, killing an elite or a special will regenerate 15% toughness for you and your allies in coherency. So sounds pretty good, right? Like it's a good keystone for a ranged build. But truth is, even with the extended 12 seconds from the keystone's passive, it's not really enough. You lose all of your stack at once after the duration runs out. That means you have to build up those 15% damage, critical strike chance, and movement speed every single time you don't manage to kill another elite while you have the stacks. In comparison to chem dependency, which gives you a stack after injecting yourself or being affected by a stim supply, the stacks last 90 or 60 seconds if you take the passive skill, and it can also provide crit chance and toughness damage reduction. And it lasts either 60 or 90 seconds, which is way more than 8 or 12 seconds, as well as chem dependency doesn't lose all of the stacks when one stack runs out. It loses one at a time, so you can just inject yourself again and bring yourself to 3 stacks or 4 stacks, whether or not you took the passive skill. So overall, you have Vulture's Bark, which I think is like the worst keystone out of the 3. Adrenaline Frenzy is nothing too crazy, but it's still good. Like faster attack speed and more melee damage is good, and it lasts 20 seconds. And generating that effect is also quite easy because it just requires you to hit things. You don't even need to kill things. And the stacks for Adrenaline Frenzy also go away one at a time, not all of them at once. So again, easier to maintain, unlike Vulture's Mark, which is just very underwhelming compared to everything else. Make it lose stacks slower or make it lose them one at a time. One of those two. I think Vulture's Mark has a place, is just not quite there yet. I think the main fix that they can do with this is just make it lose 1 stack at a time. That's basically it. Now for my cold take, and I think this will be a fast one. I think that Boombringer should get another small buff in shape of grenade regeneration, because I think, like, compared to chem grenades, which grant you a pretty good AoE with chem toxin that kills hordes and also special waves and elite waves, I think Boombringer is a little bit still underwhelming when it comes to selection between the grenades, because chems do a lot and blackout nades can also inflict chem toxin and they're infinite. I think Boombringer is still missing a little bit of something. Maybe it's too much for 1 grenade regen per like 60 kills and it's only like 1 max. I just want to use the rocket launcher a bit more. It's a little bit of a selfish wish of mine, but it would be cool if the Boombringer was a little bit more accessible. I can deal with chem grenades being finite. I kind of want to shoot the rocket every once in a while. Like 60 kills or 70? Get 1 rocket, but you can only have up to 1 rocket from that passive. I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe too much, but it's like, it's my cool take that I wanted to share. Now to wrap it up, I think there's only one small mini issue with this class when it comes to weapons, and it's the weapon transition between Bonesaw and Crowbar. Not between themselves, sorry, I phrased it wrong. Both of them have switch mode mechanics, which I think could be smoothened out a bit. I think Crowbar switching is a bit stiff and janky, because when you're clearing something with the white sweeps, I want to be able to quickly switch to single target. Right now, I feel like it's a little bit awkward, unless I don't know something about the Crowbar, but I think the switching between single target and white sweeps is just slow and it takes me kind of out of combat. And for Bonesaw, I think the switch, I mean, like, mostly it's fine. I just wish it was a little bit faster, just a little bit. Main problem with the Crowbar, but the Bonesaw is like make it a little bit faster. But that's basically all I wanted to say. Overall, Fat Shark did a phenomenal job with Hive Scum. I think it's a bit of a controversial class because compared to Arbites, they're not that easy to play with, but overall, I think the sauce is there. It's so close to being perfect. It just needs a little bit of fixing. Fix Vulture's Mark, make stim supply do a little bit more by itself, because without a stim it's basically useless, and remove the downside from Rampage because it doesn't do anything and no other class has that and feels a little bit pointless. Just remove it. Desperado is borderline better and it doesn't have a downside, so please just remove that shit and it'll be great. And I think that was it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.